Now let's dive into the lawsuit of Cassie and Diddy. This will be a part 1 of the lawsuit that was filed. I will read the lawsuit in its entirety. Now let's begin. Plaintiff, Cassandra Ventura versus defendants, Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises, LLC, and Doe Corps. 1 through 10, and together with Mr. Combs. Preliminary Statement. 1. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive popularly known by his stage names Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Diddy. Mr. Combs came to fame in the early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records. He rose to prominence in the music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. 2. In 2022, Mr. Combs received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. During his acceptance speech, Mr. Combs stated, "I have to give a special shout-out, thank you, love, to the people that was really there for me." He named a number of people, before adding, also Cassie, for holding me down in the dark times, love. 3. Document 1, filed 11/16/23, page 2 of 35. The truth, however, is that Cassie, Ms. Cassandra Ventura, was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Ms. Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. Among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs sexually assaulted Ms. Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Ms. Ventura, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding, blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Ms. Ventura, forced Ms. Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters, ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby, demanded that Ms. Ventura to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Ms. Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. 4. Ms. Ventura met Mr. Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to his label, Bad Boy Records, and within a few years lured Ms. Ventura into an ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him, her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. 5. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Ms. Ventura's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but in return demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. 6. Throughout their relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage and frequently beat Ms. Ventura savagely. These beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. 7. Following these episodes of horrific abuse, Mr. Combs would immediately attempt to hide Ms. Ventura and the evidence of his violent rage. He often showered her with gifts, following incidents of physical violence, a typical pattern of behavior by serial abusers. 8. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Ms. Ventura of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his gun in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Ms. Ventura. 9. Adding insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Ms. Ventura into repeated, unwanted sexual encounters with male sex workers. 10. Over the years that Mr. Combs abused Ms. Ventura physically and sexually, She again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs's vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs's companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far as to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry. 11. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner, after which he forced her into her home and raped her, while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. 12. Document 1, filed 11/16/23, page 4 of 35. Ms. Ventura has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assaults and sexual abuse he caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. She has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. 13. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what she endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful and immensely dangerous. Ms. Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with threats of violence, excessive use of drugs, physical and psychological abuse, and sexual slavery. 14. Accordingly, Ms. Ventura brings this action, seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of federal sex trafficking laws, the New York State Human Rights Law, the New York City Human Rights Law, the Gender-Motivated Violence Act, the New York Services for Victims of Human Trafficking, the California Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, and the California Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Jurisdiction and venue. 15. This court has jurisdiction pursuant to, as this action asserts violations of, and therefore raises federal questions regarding the deprivation of plaintiffs' rights. The court has supplemental jurisdiction over plaintiffs' related claims arising under state and city law pursuant to. 16. Pursuant to, venue is proper in this court, because a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to this action, including the unlawful employment practices and intentional and negligent tortious conduct alleged herein, occurred in this district. Party 17. Plaintiff Cassandra Ventura is a resident of the states of California and Connecticut, and was employed by defendants Bad Boy Records, LLC, and Bad Boy Entertainment and related entities, among them Doe Corporations 1 through 10, from 2006 to 2019. At all relevant times herein, Ms. Ventura met the definition of an employee of defendants under all relevant statutes. 18. Defendant Sean Combs, upon information and belief, resides within the state of California. At all relevant times herein, Mr. Combs met the definition of an employer of plaintiff under all relevant statutes. 19. Defendant Bad Boy. Entertainment is a music, media, and entertainment company founded by defendant Sean Combs, which includes the record label Defendant Bad Boy Records, LLC. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. 20. Defendant Bad Boy Records, LLC is a Delaware limited liability company with a principal place of business located in New York, New York. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. 21. Defendant Epic Records is a New York-based record label owned by Sony Music Entertainment, a subsidiary of Sony Corporation of America. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. 22. Document 1, page 6 of 35, Defendant Combs Enterprises, LLC, is a New York limited liability company. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. 23. Defendant Doe Corporations, 1 through 10 are corporations and entities affiliated and associated with defendants Sean Combs and the defendant corporations. At all relevant times, Defendant Doe Corporations 1 through 10 were employers of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Now I'm going to stop right here. Part 2 of the Cassie and Diddy lawsuit will be coming up soon. What are your thoughts so far? Leave us a comment. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.